What is going on? Welcome to another episode of the Risen Fallen podcast. If you're brand new to this podcast, then what you can expect is open and authentic conversations about things like mental health, self-development, how to get your life moving in the right direction. If you're not feeling good about where you are right now, at least having the confidence knowing that you're getting at least one step closer to the life that you'd like to have, the person that you'd like to be, that sort of stuff. And if you're not new to this show, then thank you very much for coming back, supporting the show, supporting the journey, and supporting the idea of making yourself at least 1% better every single day. And along the way, lifting other people up as well. Happy Monday. Welcome to the show, the Risen Fallen podcast. I forgot to say, my name is Mark. So I will be your host as usual. And let's jump into it. Yeah, happy Monday. It's Monday today as you guys are listening to this. It's Sunday night as I record this. Hope you guys are doing well. We just had an episode with Teddy, so if you guys haven't seen that one yet, if I can figure it out, I'll post a link somewhere around here for it, and if I can't figure it out, then I'll just link it in the description, so we'll have to get back to you guys on that one, but it will be easy to find. I can guarantee you that. It's I probably look dumb right now because I probably figured it out, but anyways, go and check out that conversation. It was a good one, good laughs, good talks, and I think that you can get some good knowledge out of it, some good insights, and if not, then maybe just laugh at how dumb I could be and how frustrating it probably is to date me. And then this Thursday coming up, we actually got another interview lined up with Devin Kennedy over on the East Coast of Canada. So we recently did a little merch swap. I got one of his hoodies. It's honestly literally just rotating between my girlfriend and I, and guys, you know how that is. But he's got some dope gear, and he stands for a good cause. So I think you guys should check that out on Thursday when it drops. He's been on the show before. You can look that up. Again, I'll link it maybe over here, or I'll drop that in the description for you guys to listen to that as well. If you're listening to this on the podcast platforms, I guess at this point I'll maybe, you guys can look that up. I'll throw some stuff in the description, but you guys can check that out another time. Let's jump into what I actually wanted to chat about today. Sorry for the long intro, but let's start rocking and rolling. Happy Monday morning if you're listening to this on your drive to work or whatever you do, or happy Monday evening if you're watching this when it drops on YouTube. Hope your Monday's going well. I know that it's the beginning of the year. It's the beginning of it's the beginning of a month. It's the beginning of a year. It's a time when people are setting resolutions for themselves, setting goals for themselves. They're starting to do things that they haven't done before. And I know for myself, I kind of encourage people to start things like this all the time throughout the year. So I've had this kind of topic of discussion come up a few times, and I wanted to just kind of address it and try and explain my perspective. Obviously, not a doctor, but I will give you my opinions on these things and kind of share my experience. And it is kind of like there's specific things that will explain this principle pretty easily, but I think it's kind of a broader topic that I think it can really apply to any of us, and I think that's why it's important to talk about. And I don't really see a lot of people talk about this thing, so let's jump into it. I know that obviously a lot of people are starting new habits. They're maybe starting something new that they've never done before, and they're probably starting it because they want to feel better. They want to feel happier. They want to feel fulfilled. They want to feel like they're getting better at something, or they're getting results from their work. And I think that there's many different ways that you can try and do these types of things and get varying different sets of results, respectively. But I think that there's a lot of things in life and a lot of behaviors or habits that we could have that are going to naturally play off of our dopamine systems and our I guess, for lack of a better phrase, that our feel good systems. And things like cold plunges, things like exercise, things like reading a book, things like listening to a song you love, those things are actually super high on the scale of dopamine reception, in terms of those things are supposed to stimulate our brains to make a lot of happiness. And you might, like most people hear those things and you think like a cold plunge, going for a run, or like just like simply hugging my partner, or reading a book. Like those things don't sound like they would be a massive dopamine rush, but those are really supposed to be like some of the highest points of our dopamine spectrum and our serotonin releases. And if you think about it biologically, it kind of makes sense, because on a daily basis, you'd wake up, you wouldn't have any screens around you or anything like that. And if you wanted to feel good, you either basically had to get laid or get food. Like that was basically like, if you were to think of like a caveman, like evolutionary perspective, human beings weren't meant to have dopamine filling our brains from the second we wake up until the second we go to bed. So we're really only supposed to have very few encounters with something that's supposed to boost our serotonin and our dopamine throughout the day, and it's supposed to be a reward for actually doing something in the first place. And so a lot of these things is exactly what I'm talking about. Like getting a meal used to be something that you had to work for, and then you'd get the reward of having a full belly, or whatever it could be. Maybe some sweets like berries or something like that you'd find. Or, going for like bathing yourself or reading a book, or having sex, or any of those things were something that you'd have to work for to get this dopamine, rush, like an exercise or something like that. Something that you'd like obviously have to exert yourself for or work for to deserve. But I think that a lot of us, we start a new program, we start a new habit, or we start a new exercise routine. And this is where I've experienced it in the past as well, where, someone starts working out and a couple months in, they're like, I'm really just not, I don't really feel like my life's gotten improved. I don't feel like the rush of the dopamine that I'm supposed to get when I go to the gym. And it's like, well, no shit. Like your dopamine systems are probably fried. Like a lot of us, from social media to YouTube to Netflix to podcasts to porn or anything like that, like we're consistently inundated with dopamine and serotonin. Not only the frequency of when we feel it, like we feel it way too often and way too easy, and like undeserved dopamine rushes and serotonin rushes, but they're also coming at us at a way higher saturation, if that makes sense. Because the ways that we get dopamine now play off of multiple dopamine systems at once. You get something that triggers your interest on social media, say something like on Instagram, or, TikTok, or like X or Twitter, whatever you're supposed to call it now. You get a video where they take a 15-second clip and it's got a punchline to a joke, some cool products that make you think, holy shit, I want those. And then they throw in some girl shaking her ass as well. And it's playing off of like 3 different dopamine systems of comparison and laughter. And then obviously the sexualization that everyone has an issue with, rightly so, on social media. And so not only are we getting like the frequency of dopamine rushes increased on a daily basis, we're getting way more dopamine rushes a day than we really deserve. But we're also getting, like, instead of having like a sip of a dopamine rush, we're getting like 4 liters in 30 seconds, and you're just fucking like guzzling dopamine all fucking day. And it's like, well, no shit, no wonder you can't derive happiness from simple things like going for a walk, or going for an exercise, or doing a cold plunge. Like, do you seriously, like, are you trying to actually compare the two? Like, it's like comparing like the dopamine rush from a hit of cocaine to fucking going for a walk in the park. And it's like, obviously one is chemically made and engineered to maximize dopamine, where the other one is something that we're supposed to just be able to derive happiness off of naturally from Mother Nature, like literally given to you by God away. Like he's like, hey, if you want to feel true fulfillment, happiness, and joy, this is what you need to do. Like it's kind of like a mutual exchange, as opposed to all of us now are sucking on the tit of dopamine just all fucking day whenever we want to fucking hit. We're like a little baby, like fucking, come here, please, like fucking give me a little bit of dopamine, give me a little bit of serotonin. And in a way, we've kind of been coddled that way. Like our entire society is built around it in terms of, yeah, just consistently giving us dopamine. And so it's not like a foreign concept, I suppose. It's not like something that people don't really talk about all that often, but I think it's important to address at least like why we don't feel as good as we should when we're doing the right things. Because I think that that can be a frustrating thing for people to feel. They're doing like, oh, I'm doing the work, but I'm not getting the results. And it's like, well, you probably have a lot of other detrimental behaviors that are impeding you from really benefiting and reaping the most amount of benefits that you possibly could. You're kind of like, if you were trying to pick an apple from a tree, like you're kind of doing it from your knees and consistently holding yourself up and not letting yourself stand up or get a ladder, if that makes sense. So I guess if you're sitting there thinking like, well, fuck, what now? I'd say you probably like, and I'm sure you could look it up. I'm not here to try and preach about like a dopamine detox or a serotonin detox. You can look into doing those things. You can go ahead and do those like dopamine or serotonin fasts or detoxes for a couple days. But, and I'm not saying don't do that, but my philosophy and the way that my brain works, I think a lot more long term, and I think a lot more in terms of like building a survivable, like steady routine that you can just continue on and have something that's sustainable. That's the word I'm looking for. A sustainable thing that you can do for the rest of your life. Because I think that long-term solutions like that, I feel like nothing really has a forever effect. I think that everything that we do has a diminishing effect. And so if we just do it once, I don't think it's going to help us for the rest of our lives. I think it's important to think about how can I maximize my happiness for the rest of our life? I think that that's a pretty, I think most people could get behind that. And so what I would say is, you want to kind of analyze some of the things that you do on a daily basis that spike dopamine. And I'm not trying to think of, telling you to, think of every single thing that you do on a daily basis or record how you feel about every single thing that you do on a daily basis or anything like that. But just think about like if you were to journal throughout your day and honestly reflect the 3 happiest moments you had during the day, think about where they were derived from, and think about where you spent the most amount of your time. I think all of us can look on our phones, our devices, our computers, and look at our screen time and look at what we've actually done throughout the day, because I can almost guarantee you if somebody, and in this day and age with all the resources and things out there, if someone actually is saying that they are depressed and someone's actually saying that they have those issues, I'm willing to bet that they've got way too much screen time. I'm willing to bet that they live impulsively and they live in a manner that, they're not setting themselves up to be happier. And I think that a lot of the times we can flood ourselves with instant dopamine and gratification sources, the things I was talking about earlier. It can be social media, it can be food, it can be the comfort of somebody else. It can be like it can literally be anything. And everyone has their own vices and how they cope with whatever problems they have in their life. But I think it's important for us to analyze the things that we're using as a crutch or using as entertainment or dopamine sources or happiness sources, and think about if they could be getting in the way of our actual true happiness. And I think that really this question comes down to, can I feel happy with the simple things in life? Can I feel happy with, just waking up and exercising and doing a good, honest day's work of, progressing closer to the person that you'd like to be, whatever your day looks like. Can you do that and be happy from the natural sources of dopamine? Like I said, going for a walk or exercising or cold plunging or reading a book or just doing things that human beings were designed to do. Because I think that, if we were to envision our future selves, I think that a lot of people would get very uncomfortable if you were to do that, and envision yourself with a device in your fucking face. I know personally, like just certain times where I've tried to eliminate screen time or addictions like that or anything. I just kind of picture a future version of myself, and I think about that like text neck type posture and fucking being one of those like in a matrix of like laying in bed just with a screen in front of you. Like it just creeps me out, and I think that a lot of the time when I can envision my future self, if I think about the compounded effects of bad behaviors, it helps me kind of stay away from a lot of those behaviors, I guess, easier. Or I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of ways to reframe the way you think about some of your behaviors, and you can improve your life a lot when you start to reframe those things. I know for myself, yeah, like again, that's kind of again another method that I've used when I like another example is like thinking about when I was drinking and partying all the time, like envisioning a future version of myself where like that continued and compounded for years and years and years. I didn't like the look of it. And so for me, it was kind of an easy transition to make out of that lifestyle. So I don't know. I don't know what kind of changes you may need to make. I don't know what kind of adjustments you might need to make in your friend group, in your behaviors, in your routine, in your career, or anything like that. But I think that a lot of us, if we're feeling unhappy, it's important to kind of reflect on, where we are getting our happiness from. And that might be worth looking into. You think I could? Anything else? Have you been listening? Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I was just wondering if you had anything that I should say.
The whole dopamine rush thing.
Yeah.
Did you talk about taking a break from everything?
Yeah.
Did you talk about like stress and
Not really, no.
talk about the cold plunge and stuff like that or no?
Yeah, well, I just kind of said like if you're like doing those things and you're feeling like frustrated because you're doing them and you're like, well, I'm doing the thing, but I'm not getting the reward. Like I don't feel the dopamine rush that people say I'm supposed to get. Like this could be why. And then I said, like, you can look into dopamine detoxes and serotonin fasts and things like that. I think it's kind of a band aid solution. I think that, I'm not saying don't do it,
Yeah, right. Unless you make lasting change after.
but like, do something that's sustainable. That's
Yeah,
what I
like
said.
just don't go back to your routine of like
Yeah,
constantly giving yourself dopamine
yeah,
without like something that actually deserves a reward.
yeah. So I think to summarize, I think that basically, if you feel like you're not being able to feel the happiness and the dopamine rushes and the serotonin rushes from life's beautiful little things, like going for a walk or going for a hike or walking with your partner or a simple hug from a loved one or cold plunging or exercise or eating a good healthy meal, if those things don't give you a serotonin rush and a dopamine rush, or at least make you feel fulfilled. What?
Oxytocin is what you get from hugging and physical touch.
Yeah, whatever. At least having like the feel good of like the happiness and joy of doing those simple things, whether it's like oxytocin or dopamine or serotonin, whatever feel good fucking hormone you start to feel. If you're not feeling those things, it's time to adjust your routine and your behaviors. It's time to start taking a look at the sources of happiness that you do have and start to think about, is that a natural thing that I'm supposed to have in my life? Is this the way that I want to be deriving my happiness for the rest of my life? Do I want to be 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old, and sitting around, coming home from work and watching fucking videos and watching people dance and do TikTok shit and I lived in a van for 14 days and this is how I feel? Like, do you really want to be that person that just consumes and watches and derives their dopamine from other people? Or do you want to be able to create happiness and joy from being able to go for a walk around your place with your partner, holding hands by a lake? And that is the greatest fucking most fulfilling thing. Or raising a child, or growing a business, or doing something that actually is supposed to fulfill us? Or do you want to just have that IV drip from some fucking technology or government? It's kind of something that you're going to have to think about. Again, like I said, I think projecting my vision into the future and seeing where negative behaviors and habits could go in the future if they escalate or compound, that's a way that I use it as, and a way that I kind of evaluate if I want to continue a behavior or not. But it's going to come down to honest, hard reflection of yourself, what you do on a daily basis, and what you'd like your life to look like. And it's going to be different for every single person. So I wish I could sit here and give a million more examples until you hear the one where you're like, that's the thing I need to cut out. But realistically, it's most likely some sort of a fucking food addiction, drug, or more than likely porn and social media addiction. And I lump those things together because I sincerely believe that it basically plays off the exact same fucking system, which is just avoidance of the feeling of loneliness and instant dopamine rushes. And that's kind of what it is. And it really just depends on what kind of trauma you've got and where your vices lie. So that's pretty much it. Hope you guys are doing well. Like I said, on Thursday, we're going to have that episode drop with Devin Kennedy. And yeah, if you guys like this content, if you feel like you gained something from it, or it kind of made you laugh or made you think, or you know someone that needs to fucking hear this message, share this with somebody, or just post it on your Facebook, your Instagram, and, whatever. Share it with someone that needs to hear it. Hope you guys are doing well. Like, comment, and subscribe. YouTube and Rumble. Rate 5 stars. Leave a little review. Check out the website, risenfallen.com. Get some merch. We got some cool hoodies and tees. Other than that, see you guys on Thursday. Much love. Peace out. Love you all. Bye.